Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Viewhouse Centennial for what is going to be a spectacular Xfinity Monday Live, because we've got Charles Johnson, CJ in the house, former Buffs quarterback. I got to tell you, Michael Spencer, who used to host the show, said you were his favorite guest.
Oh, my.
So no pressure, CJ, but pressure.
But pressure.
Speaking of pressure, year 2 under Deion Sanders up in Boulder. What do you think? We keep talking about expectations. What are realistic expectations, you think?
My expectations are that CU will continue the trajectory that it was on from last year. You know, it's interesting, the narrative around CU football right now. There's so much noise around, things not relevant to football itself. I think that's unfortunate. And the reason I say that, if you look at CU's program, a year ago today, right before the season started, we were coming off of a 1-11 season. We won 4 games last year. If we continue that trajectory, I think we're a 7-8 win team this year. That is doing a great job given where we were a year ago. I don't think Coach Prime or the CU football program gets credit for where it's at in actual wins. The season unfolded in such a strange, uneven way last year. People lose sight of that fact. We were the worst program in the country a year ago.
Yeah.
Here we are now, one of the most talked about programs in the United States.
I think that's a fantastic point. Literally quadrupled their win total, and there was a lot of holes.
That's
now,
right.
There's a lot of new players this year.
Romy, Nebraska, for example.
Yeah.
Last year, Nebraska wins 5 games. CU wins 4. The year before, Nebraska won 4. CU won 1. Nebraska visits CU last year. Of course, we know the outcome of that game. Yet, if you hear the noise and the narratives around the two programs, you would think one was going south and the other one was going to contend for a championship in a couple of years. We're in a better position. I think Coach Prime has done a better job with this program than Matt Rule did in Nebraska. Not to take anything away from Matt. I think he's a good coach. He's going to do a fine job. But I think from a football perspective, we've just lost sight of where we were and where we are currently.
Oh, that is why we're so happy to have you here tonight. Such great perspective. And let's talk about, there's a lot of newness again, a lot of new players, 2 new coordinators. I guess Pat Shurmur's not entirely new, but as the official OC role, and a new DC. How much of a challenge is that, or is that just life in college football?
It is. That's one thing I think we're all getting used to, right? When I visited practice this summer, I'm trying to figure out who's who. I saw a quarterback, a kid who was 6'5". He's a transfer from Bethune-Cookman, and I'm thinking, my God, who is this kid? And I'm trying to figure out who's on the team, but I think that's the new norm. I do like Shurmur for this reason. I think part of the challenge Shedeur had and our offense had last year was that we were not a sort of read and diagnose offense. We were a hurry-up offense. We wanted to keep personnel on the field, make it the defenses predictable from that perspective. I think a lot of the sacks were due to the fact that it wasn't a pre-snap read and eliminate bad decisions and figure out where to go. I think with Shurmur, more traditional offense, route combinations, read the defense too high, here's where we're going, single high safety, here's where we're going. And so I think it gives Shedeur an opportunity to be more certain about where he's going before the ball is snapped. And as a result, I think you'll see a better product offensively.
Well, and of course, when we talk about the offense, you can't go 2 sentences without talking about the offensive line. Huge expectations. You said you were out there, you were visited. What do you think, how much improvement might we see from this unit?
I think the 2 most improved units on this team are up front on both sides. I think the defensive front, much improved. I think the same for our offensive front. Look, that's not saying a lot, quite frankly, on offensive line, but I do think it's a much improved unit. You get the #1 offensive lineman recruit in the country to come to CU. This is, again, my point about what the narrative is around CU football. You look at how he's recruited. Defensively, you see this kid, B.J. Green from Arizona, who I think is going to be he's an NFL guy along with a couple of other guys up front. But I think our offensive line is much improved. We'll be able to run the ball better. We have to. And I think as a result, Shedeur will be better protected.
You know what? Michael Spencer was right. This is just a joy having you out here.
Oh, stop.
Charles Johnson in the house tonight. Welcome back into Xfinity Monday Live here at the Viewhouse Centennial. So excited tonight. We got Charles Johnson in the house. We were just talking Buffs, but you're a man of many talents, so we're going to skip. We're over. We're going to go to the Broncos now. just completed the preseason. They went 3-0. Now, I know people sometimes say the preseason doesn't matter, but what can fans, you think, take from the Broncos' performance in this preseason?
Well, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I am old enough to know that, or remember, my hometown Detroit Lions went 4-0 one preseason not too long ago. And that was the last game they won that year, right? It was 0-16 from that point. Not that that's going to happen. In all seriousness, I do think there are some good takeaways. I think that young quarterback, Bo Nix, is, I think they found their guy for the next generation, if you will. And I think there are a number of young guys who really stepped up and shown themselves well. I don't know that it translates into playoffs or, any real run this year, but I think the foundation is set for the Broncos to be good for the foreseeable future.
Obviously, Broncos country, they're just buzzing about Bo Nix, and we'll be so happy to hear you say they think found the guy of the future. Why do you think he could be that guy?
Well, I think, one, he is a very confident young man, and he's played a lot of college football, and he's played well for the most part wherever he's been. I think the combination of Sean Payton and Bo Nix works extremely well. Timing is everything, and how you're paired, particularly as a quarterback with your offensive coordinator or your head coach, could mean make or break you. We saw a not so good marriage with those positions a year ago, right? Just oil and water. It didn't work out. Bo Nix is the kind of kid who absorbs a lot. He's learning. You can see him learning. He never makes the same mistake twice. And I think that's the kind of young quarterback, probably a lot like what Sean Payton is used to, right? And so I think it's going to bode well for him.
I think fans are really excited. Of course, when you got a new quarterback and you got an offensive-minded coach, everyone's talking about the offense, but the defense in this preseason has
what I'm talking about.
Much improved. I know you are, and of course, Vance Joseph, your guy, former teammate. I didn't realize you guys were as close as you are, which is awesome. What makes VJ such a good coach, though?
Well, one, he is so relatable, right? VJ is the guy who, no matter how bad things get, he's going to find a way to create some kind of positive out of it and get his guys going. We saw that last year. Think about how down the atmosphere was after the Miami game. And the incredible job he did in getting that defense turned around. It became the strength of that team down the stretch. That 5-game stretch in which they created all those turnovers and really was performing as a top defense in the league, I think was incredible, but didn't surprise me. That's who VJ is. That's who he's always been. And I think that we'll see much the same this year, Romy.
Oh, I love it so much. VJ and CJ. A lot of good guys here in the Colorado football community. We got so much more coming up here on Monday Live. We're here with Charles Johnson, and it's time now for the People Want to Know. People Want to Know, brought to you by Common Spirit, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos and champions for communities we serve. And Sarah wants to know, what is your best memory playing Nebraska?
Whoa, I tell you, playing Nebraska was so many great memories, but 1990, I think the final score was 27-11 or 24-11. We were losing, or 12. We were losing 12-zip in the fourth quarter. Rain, sleet, snow. Their fans were going crazy. They were certain they were going to win that football game. The enemy scores 4 touchdowns. The rest is history. CU was propelled to the national championship game, and all those Cornhuskers were just crying in their beer.
I love that. We love to hear it. You've had a lot of great memories at CU, and you've given fans a lot of amazing memories. But Tom wants to know, what is your best memory, football memory at CU?
Wow, that's a good question. It may be, I remember my junior year. No, it was my senior year. It was the year we won the national championship. We play Washington at CU. Hagan gets hurt. I go in the game. We're deep in our own territory late in the game, and we needed to, we're up in a tight game. I think it was 17-14, and we needed to move the ball down the field, run some time, and there was a pass I hit Mike Pritchard with to give us a first down and extend the drive. That was one of the great memories. Also, the Missouri game. Now, people would suggest or think that it's because of the 5th down. That was a tumultuous sort of game, and for me personally, it was the game I decided I wasn't going to come back my senior year.
Okay, wow.
I started that game. I was pulled at halftime for 3 plays. Jeff Mad Dog Madden, our strength and conditioning coach, and Coach Barnett kind of rallied me back, and we went out and 5th down, and the rest is history there. And, of course, the Orange Bowl was, it's kind of hard to top.
Absolutely.
Top that.
I love that. I love that little insight into the Missouri game.
Yeah.
That would have never known before. That was an awesome round of the People Want to Know, brought to you by Common Spirit. We got to take a break. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the move to the Big 12. Do you like, do you not like? We'll find out when we come back. And then, CJ, I haven't got a chance to ask you. CU, of course, now in the Big 12, going home, as we like to say. You like this or don't like this?
I do like it. It feels like home.
Okay.
I think the experiment in the Pac-12 was what it was, and I think it served its purpose for the time that we were there. But we're home now. I feel like this is where we should be. We're more matched with what the Big 12 has to offer, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, we got like 40 seconds left. Any advantages or disadvantages to kind of being the new kids on the block?
It's interesting because I'm not certain that we are the new kids on the block because there's so many new teams.
Yeah.
We're looking at Central Florida and West Virginia. They've been in the conference, but I feel like, in a way, we're more at home in the Big 12 than some of the teams that the new arrivals are. So I think it's we'll fit in well.
And you got some familiar faces, Utah, Arizona, right? Seen them for a couple years.
That's right. I can't wait to get to Lubbock and Lincoln and Ames and Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, man. I mean, what a palette. What a menu. Hello, everyone. Thanks for logging on to CBSColorado.com. Time now for a few extra minutes with Charles Johnson, former QB of your Colorado Buffaloes and one of just the best all-around people. We got a big season coming up for the Buffs. And, of course, it begins on Thursday. North Dakota State. Nothing to, overlook.
Oh, no.
What do you like and not like about this matchup?
I hate games like this to begin with, right? It's first of all, you don't know much about them, right? There's very little history in terms of having played them or watched them play. But they're a great program. Yeah. They are a consistent program, and they're going to bring it, right? They're coming to Colorado to try and win a football game. It reminds me, I think it was 2006, 2007, one of those years when Montana State came into Colorado and upset the Buffs. I just hate games like this.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's not a player on the CU roster who came to CU to play North Dakota State.
Yeah.
And yet, if you don't bring your A game, anything could happen.
It feels like first game of the season, everybody knows how many FBS teams they've beaten. It doesn't seem like it's a team that they would overlook, but what do you think is the mentality in the locker room ahead of this one?
I agree with you. I think given the attention and how last year unfolded, it's less about the opponent and more about wanting to put your best foot forward. I think Coach Prime has really focused this team on that assignment, right? It doesn't matter who the opponent is, particularly coming out the gate. You don't know much about them, but do you know much about yourself, right? Who are we? This game is more about who we are and less about who they are. And I think that's why they'll be focused and ready.
I love that. It's interesting when you look at the season, the start is similar. You got Nebraska and CSU. You had that last year in the first 3 weeks of the season. How much pressure do you think it is for CU to get off to a good start, especially against schools where those rivalries are fully back and, in full form?
I think it's important, right? And it's interesting with the new sort of NCAA college football environment where you have so many new faces and new places. I wonder how normal it would be for teams to sort of get up off the mat. You don't really, you're not with guys that you've been with for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And so if you get off to a slow start, what is the tendency for people to begin to check out, to look elsewhere, to try and find greener pastures? That's just the world we're in. I think one of the best sort of, antidotes or panaceas for that is to get off to a quick start. I feel good about this team. I've had an opportunity to watch a few practices, Romy, and we're better than we were last year for certain, particularly up front on both sides, which is where football games are won and lost. And so I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good. It's important, Romy. We don't get this thing done. Why you got me nervous. Are you asking that question for a reason?
No, I'm asking,
Okay.
I'm asking for your wisdom,
Okay.
Maybe I'm a little nervous.
I thought maybe you saw something I hadn't seen and was kind of warning me. No? Okay.
I'm the host. You are the brains of this operation today, so that's what we're getting.
Oh, we're in trouble.
We're getting some insight here. When we talk about blocking out the noise, obviously we know this. There's so much external noise, but at some point it's hard when people are always kind of knocking on you. How do you think the players deal with this?
I think the players understand, and I think last year was a good sort of test run for CU. With Coach Prime comes the bright lights, comes the attention. It comes the expectations, if you will. And quite frankly, what comes with that is a little bit of, hate. He makes folks uncomfortable, and I get that. But I think what it also does is it galvanizes his team around their mission. And I'm excited to see that unfold this year.
I didn't get a chance to ask you about Shedeur during our show on Monday Live. Obviously, high expectations. There's Heisman conversations. There's first-round draft pick conversations. What are you expecting from Shedeur this year?
I expect a continuation of what we saw last year, with better protection, with a better offensive scheme, with more continuity. I expect him to be one of the Heisman finalists, if not the Heisman Trophy winner. I think this kid is so talented. And what I really love about him, and it's interesting because he's adopted this sort of social media world that they live in, and he's maxed out on that. But in his core, I watch him around his players. I watch how he talks about his players publicly. I watch how he engages his players in the locker room privately. He's exactly what you want in a quarterback. He's 100% the real deal, and I expect nothing but big things. I will also tell you this, the best player in the country plays for the University of Colorado. I've never seen anything quite like Travis Hunter.
I was just going to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
I'm sorry for jumping it, but I got so excited just thinking about how great this kid is. He's amazing.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Let's just say we get down the line and it's Shedeur and Travis. They're the two Heisman finalists. Who's winning the Heisman?
You did not just ask me that question. Wow. Well, I think it's Shedeur. I mean, it's the position.
Yeah.
And with the quarterback position and the pressure and the time and attention that's paid to it, it's Shedeur. But I will tell you this: if the question is just who's the best college football player in the country, it's Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
This guy, he would be one of the top 3 all-time receivers for CU, and we're talking about some great players, and one of the top 3 all-time cornerbacks for CU. He would be top 3 in both those categories. That's unimaginable.
Truly a generational player that
Indeed.
we're watching, which is absolutely incredible. CJ, thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to have you here tonight. It's been such a treat.
It's been a blast. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. We'll see you again soon.
Indeed.
We'll see you on Thursday.
Go Buffs.
Go Buffs. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.